Welcome to Breezeway's People Behind the Property series. This series celebrates the professionals who make vacation rentals more than just places to stay. Because behind every spotless clean, every smooth check-in, and each thoughtful touch, there's someone dedicated to elevating hospitality. Our goal is simple. It's to share these stories, to share their impact, and to remind us all that great guest experiences start with great people. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We are doing another People Behind the Properties, and I'm super, super excited about this one. We have got Lindsey Clark, who's the operations manager at Seaside Vacations and Sales down in Chincoteague, Virginia, and Ocean City, Maryland. One of my favorite companies. Lindsey, welcome.
Hi.
I'm so excited to talk to you. We were chatting before we started recording, and I was like, we've got to get going because there's so much good stuff that we can cover on this call. And I'm really excited for people to hear a little bit more about you and your story and sort of kind of what you're doing on a daily basis. So tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. I have been with Seaside Vacations for a little over 6 years now, longest standing employee. I remember when we had a handful of properties, like maybe 30, 40 when I started. We're now over 200 in Virginia. So it's been a wild ride.
Yeah, quite a ride from 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've seen a lot. You've seen a lot of change in probably the way you service the properties and the team that services the properties, how the team services those properties, all the things.
Yeah. I mean, definitely every year we're just looking for better ways of accomplishing things. I mean, we learn from each other, from our processes every year, just try to make the next better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you get into operations?
Um, when I first started, it was me and one other girl in the office, along with Lance and Elaine. We were all doing a little bit of everything. Um, Saturdays, we would literally close the office up. Everybody grabbed their clipboard prior to Breezeway. Lance and Elaine were out inspecting with us, and we grew a little bit more and more. We got to our new office and we were like, we've got to divide this up somehow. So the other girl took on reservations, and I moved into operations. We still had our hands in everything, but slowly but surely it's become bigger and bigger and bigger operations
Yeah.
department. So yeah.
What does your team look like? What does your team look like today?
Right now, I have a head of housekeeping. I have a maintenance coordinator, a couple of maintenance men on. In the summertime, we could have anywhere from 30 to 40 housekeepers that work under me. Same thing, maybe 15 to 20 inspectors. But we also have the laundry department, and that's been quite the challenge because it is 30 minutes away from our office. But we have a handful of people over there too.
And remind me, you guys, there's a very fun name for your laundry facility, right?
I'm so mad we don't have a sign on the building that says it yet, but Holy Sheets.
Yes.
It was originally a
It's so
church.
good. When Elaine first told me, and for anybody who's listening who doesn't know, Lance and Elaine are the owners of Seaside. So that's who we're talking about when we're saying Lance and Elaine. But when Elaine told me that, I literally started cracking up. It's
Yeah.
just too perfect.
Yeah. She went to a conference dressed in the full nun attire for Lance with
I
the
actually remember that. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that I remember that, but that's dating me. All right. Well, let's get into a little bit more about you. So what is a typical, like, I mean, I know there's not really a typical day in our industry, but let's overgeneralize. Like, what does a typical day look like for you?
Typical like summer day, I'm opening Breezeway messaging. I sit 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, seeing who is leaving early. I'm commenting on cleans, inspections. First thing I do when I get in the office, make sure that everything is assigned in Breezeway, that there aren't any tasks that Breezeway Assist assigned to us the night before that haven't been taken care of. But I'm on Breezeway all day long. My entire job revolves around Breezeway. Everything that I am in charge of is scheduled within the application. So
Do you find, Lindsey, like we were talking earlier about like sort of like the clipboards and then sort of transitioning to that. I'm curious sort of what the initial response when you guys made the move. It's been quite a few years now that you've been
It
using
has.
the platform, but sort of what the initial, if you can remember back to, before Breezeway, sort of what that initial response was around starting to use a new tool.
I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. We've talked before, Lance just kind of slapped it on us, a busy, July Saturday. Here, everybody download this app. I'm throwing some houses on you. This is what you're going to do. Nobody had even looked at the checklists on there prior to this day. Now, since then, I don't know how we would work without it. We've been able to customize the entire thing. So I have groups where every house is. He had us scattered all over town. Like he had no organization. He's just like boom, 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 boom. You take care of these ones, and you take care of these ones. But now I'm able to put people in specific groups, like specific areas without having people dart all over
Not the
the
big, you don't
place.
look at a map and you see the big
Yeah,
zigzag where
yeah.
people were all day. What do you think, if you had to sort of pinpoint, I mean, this is hard work, right? The
It
teams
is.
you manage are in the field. They are really, working diligently to, make sure that all of your guests come into, pristine homes. What do you think is the most like satisfying part of your job?
We have been working really hard towards improving all of our Google ratings, and I just happened to get on those maybe a week or so ago. And the amount that said how clean this home was and how much attention to detail. I mean, that's my team. That's my team that is doing that. And it feels good to see, because you get slapped with a handful of bad reviews or, complaints from guests that are here, and it's really disheartening. But to see the literal hundreds per week that we're getting that are good, it's definitely satisfying.
Well, and I think that's just sort of the nature of the guest, right? Most of the ones that are super happy and really pleased aren't, you're not interacting with them. And that's probably one of the things that makes it so hard about the work that
Yeah.
folks do in operations, right? They only oftentimes will hear some of the negative things or when something misses the mark. But they don't often hear about the, like you said, the hundreds of other times where you guys are just like
Yeah.
blowing it out of the water.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we sometimes do feel like the complaint department, whether something is broken or something is dirty or something was missed, but it seems like such a small drop in the bucket when you look at the overall summer, the volume that we're taking care of. And I mean, Breezeway has definitely helped with that.
Well,
It's
and
more accountability.
the squeaky wheel is the one, right? That always is what you remember and sort of what you
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah.
What do you think? It's so, I keep saying it's such hard work, but like, what do you think the hardest, not the hardest, but what do you think is like the thing that like people just don't realize about what's so difficult, like about getting a property ready? Like, I mean, there's probably a thousand things, but if you could pick,
Yeah.
pick one.
The maintenance issues are tough, I think. I mean, it holds us up. We only have a short window, to get into a home, get it prepared for the next guest, get the dirty linens out, everything cleaned, everything shiny. So the maintenance issues, an AC acting up, something that is going to hinder the next guest, though that's the hardest part. That's definitely the hardest part in operations.
And it's most of it is out of your control, right? You don't,
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
like, you can't like, you don't have like what is that, like a magic 8 ball that's like, is the AC going to go out this week?
Yeah,
I mean, wouldn't that be
exactly.
amazing if we did actually know that? Because you could service it, it could be working fine, and then it's kaput, 24 hours later.
Yeah. Yeah. And you do have those guests that like to bump it down to like 62 and freeze everything up. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Um, do you think, in the, 6-ish plus years, right? Especially as you've grown a department so substantially, and like kudos to you, like that is no small feat to go from being like the only person doing operations to having, huge teams,
yeah.
such growth from a
Thank you.
homeowner count as well. But are there, is there like a tip or a trick that you can share that you've learned that you think makes like a difference in in the work that
Getting to know your people, getting to know your people and where they would be best at. Bree, our maintenance coordinator, she started as an inspector. She was very, very young. And the more I got to know her, the more potential I saw in her. So then she moved up and she's been in the office with us since. I mean, I think it took a year for her to, a season before she was in the office working. I don't know how we would do it without her.
Yeah. It's so true. I think that sometimes people are like, "Oh yeah, I can do this job." And I would imagine if we talked to Bree, she would say, "I'm so much happier in this role because it's so much more aligned with like who I am and like what makes me tick." And I do think that's so important. And I think to give your team a way to see that like mobility and not
Yeah.
feel, "Oh, this is my job and this is what I always have to do here," to know that there's opportunity
Oh
um
yeah.
for other things.
Definitely, definitely. That's one thing. I mean, like I said, I just was answering phones when I started, and then, inspecting and a little bit of everything, but it's definitely every year I feel like the position has grown.
Yeah.
So
It's so funny. I was also the first employee here at Breezeway,
mm.
and I always, when I'm talking to some of our like newer hires, I'm always like, and I did a lot of things that I was absolutely not qualified to do, right? Because as a small company, right, everybody just jumps in and like
Oh
does what
yeah.
to get the job done. And I look back now and I think, oh my gosh, like thank God that we have like these
Yeah.
incredible team members who are like really good at what they do. Because I mean, I'm at work, but it
Yeah.
wasn't always pretty.
We have YouTubed how to fix toilets, how to fix an AC. When maintenance was at another big job that they're on a time crunch, we actually, Bree and a couple of other inspectors fixed an AC. Yeah, I don't. They called around. They were given advice by another contractor that he was out of town. There was nobody here. There was nobody to help us. It was the end of a busy Saturday. And she's like, I'm fixing it. And she did. So
Listen, good for her. I'm gonna call her if I have an issue with my AC next time.
right?
But it
Yeah.
is also so funny. I think like, so I know you guys have a great culture. I've seen it. I've gotten to see it a number of times, but I just think like just that simple story, right? It just
Yeah.
really, I think, is indicative of what happens when you empower your team to do more than what's just inside the scope of their work.
Yeah.
And like and it not just empowers them, but like makes them want to do more, right?
Yeah.
There's probably a ton of people, maybe not at Seaside, but a ton of people in our industry that would be like, I don't know how to fix an AC. And like,
Yeah. Yeah. She's gonna YouTube it. She'll
yeah,
figure it out. Yeah.
that is amazing. That's so good.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about sort of recognizing your team, because I was saying I was saying this the other day. We just did our 2025 state of work report, which if you haven't had the chance to check it out, it's actually like got some really great stats in it. But I was sort of blown away when I looked at it, because it talked about like that only like 1 in 5 people were actually getting recognition when they did a good job. And I just, that was sort of mind blowing to me, because I think like it's so difficult to find good people. And when you find them, I would think that we would be doing everything we could to like get them excited and empower them. And so I wanted to sort of talk a little bit about like, what it means, right? When our managers or a homeowner or a guest sort of recognizes the work that gets done, and sort of how you kind of keep that going throughout your team.
Yeah, well, I mean, I love to share anytime they're shared with me, anytime I come across reviews, how clean the house was. I like to go back in Breezeway, figure out when this guest stayed and who the housekeeper and inspectors were. And I like to share that kind of stuff because we take a lot of hits, or we feel like we do, the handful of people, the handful of complaints. Um, and those are the ones that stick out to you. So I
Yeah.
like to share the positive. And again, there's hundreds for every one of my housekeepers and inspectors of good reviews to a handful of bad. And I really like to show them that.
Yeah.
Even in a group text, like, hey, everybody, Kaylee did a great job on this house. The homeowner is, really, really happy, whatever. I like to give recognition, not just to the person, but in front of people.
Yeah, I think that's so smart because it definitely when you see one of your colleagues doing really well, it sort of makes you be like, what do I need to do to also be there?
Yeah.
And okay, what if I just spent 3 more minutes the next time like doing this one thing? Like would that could that be me, right? And so I think it not only makes the person who you're recognizing feel great and get like more kudos from other folks, but it also sort of spurs that excitement from
Yeah.
so, so on those long, we talked a little bit about like, the busy Saturdays, the crazy turn days. How do you keep like both your and your team's like energy and positivity up, during the throes of summer?
We try to stay as prepared as possible for the weekend. Clear your plate of anything else. We're focusing on just the houses turning that day.
Mm.
Otherwise we wouldn't survive. But I mean, we try to do some lunches here and there within the office, just to kind of, boost morale a little bit. Um, I mean, the tipping certainly helps. They like to come in and tell us, there was a $200 tip in this house and blah blah.
Well, that
It's
makes me feel really cheap for anywhere I've ever stayed because I have never left a $200
I
tip.
know, I know. Venmo has been a godsend for some of my cleaners. They've received a lot. As most people don't carry cash now.
Yeah.
I don't have a single bit of cash in my purse right now. So
It's like the worst when you go somewhere and they're like, it's cash only. You're like, oh, okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I definitely will pay that $8 ATM fee you're going to charge me to get cash out now.
Yeah, I know. But just trying to stay as prepared as possible so it doesn't seem as chaotic as it is. That's definitely a goal. We all try to just have zero else to do except for pay attention to what's coming through the app all day.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because it also means that like when that's happening, right? And listen, I am sure that there are 20 times throughout the summer when like that can't be the case and you get pulled in 10 different directions, right?
Yeah.
But if you're prepared for that, then at least you're more likely to be able to be effective and with fewer distractions. So I think that's really good. And it's so funny. I remember, gosh, this might have been like COVID times, and we were doing a like right after COVID maybe, and we were like talking about like recognizing and rewarding teams, and I had someone share that they would do like just like little handwritten notes like you're doing awesome work, like thanks for everything that you do,
Yeah.
sort of give that out to people throughout the day. And they were like, and they got more positive response from the team than like gift cards they were giving out because
Oh,
people
wow.
really felt seen. And then after that, so it was a webinar. That was not my idea. Someone shared that with me. But
Mhm.
later, I had someone message me, one of our clients, and say, "Hey, I watched that webinar that you guys did, and um, I did some handwritten notes, and my team loved it." And I was like, It's just so funny because I think that like when we think about recognizing and rewarding, like I love that you said like, oh, we will like shout people out on like group texts and things like that. Like these don't have to be like huge extravagant things. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the $200 tipping is, I mean, that's
Yeah.
extravagant.
Yeah.
And I might be able to get on board with that,
Yeah.
um, but I'm definitely going to have to up my game as a guest moving forward. But I think it's like these don't like our team isn't looking to like have like balloons delivered when they do a good job, but like just like saying, "Hey, you crushed it today, like awesome job," that goes so far.
It does. It does. I have a couple of cleaners that have been with me for about 4 or 5 years, and um, I mean they thrive on that. They like to hear when they're doing a good job, and I try to tell them every single
Yeah.
time. So
That's so important.
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about sort of the team as we're talking about the team and the tools. How do you guys on those busy days, like how do you and the team like sort of stay connected and coordinated?
There's still a lot of texting.
Okay.
There's a lot of text messages, a lot of group texts. But that we live in a very seasonal community here, so I'm not getting the same inspectors every
Hold
single
on.
year or anything.
Hold on. I lost you
Um,
for a second. You
but
said
every
you're not
year,
getting the same.
everybody gets put.
Oh, sorry, I lost
I'm
you and then
losing.
I catching up. But you're back now. You were saying
Okay.
you same inspectors? Is that what you're saying?
We typically don't. We have a handful that have stayed with us for a couple of years. But we're training new people on Breezeway. I feel like every year it gets a little more user friendly to be, I mean, there's more communication within the app now. Um, before we knew just to comment, and everybody's gotten better on, reporting issues, and even the tagging has been a lifesaver.
People love
Um,
the tag,
yeah,
the tagging. Yeah.
yeah, it's nice. Then you know that people are looking to me for this answer, not Jennifer or Bree or anyone else in my
Mhm.
department. So that really has been helpful.
Um, if you picked and you've talked about a couple of them, Lindsay, but if you had to pick like one or two pieces of the platform that like you'd be like a loss without, like what do you say those would be?
The messaging now, because
Okay.
that saves us so much time on a Saturday or Sunday, busy turn day. Guests really do use it. They use it to let us know when they're leaving, and it saves us hours of cleaning time throughout a busy summer weekend. That and the photos, I mean, just any photo availability for anything. Like we use it on, and you'll see it on every single task. There are photo requirements because saying you did something is not the same as being able to prove it with a photo.
Right.
So that's definitely been helpful. I always come back to how it saved us completely when we had a broken glass stovetop in one of our condos in Ocean City, and it was perfect condition. Minutes before the guest arrived, the guest set something on top of the refrigerator. It fell and broke the brand new stove top.
Ooh,
But we had time and date stamped photos prior to their arrival that it was fine. So, I mean, those have saved us in so many different aspects, just of photo availability.
yeah. It is so silly. Because I think that like I don't know if guests just don't realize that like, that you can
Yeah.
have this information. So like you're probably gonna get a lot more if you just tell the truth about what happened and like what do we do, right? Versus like,
Yeah.
oh, it was
Yeah.
like when we walked in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is 2025. Chances
Yeah.
are whoever prepared the home is going to have some sort of photo documentation. So I'm not sure why people try
Well,
that.
here's the thing. I will say that we think that because it is just such second nature and like you guys run a really professional like high standard business, but unfortunately I see it a lot in like Facebook groups and things like that from folks who don't, and then they're like, well, my cleaner said it was good, but it's like, well, your cleaner saying it's good and like, the guest having a picture when they're there and showing that it's not good is like is different, and I would venture to guess that like it probably was good, but that's going to be a real hard fight to win. And so
I've never been able to understand that. We have some competitors in the area that inspectors have worked for them and they've come to work for us, and they're like they just don't even bother with inspections if it's we're on a time crunch. But there is never a property here. I don't care how close to 4 p.m. check-in we are getting that I don't send an inspector in for at least a couple photos of every room,
yeah,
whether they're fully capable of doing a complete 25-minute 30-minute inspection. You're getting in there for a couple minutes at least,
right.
but some of our competitors just don't. I'm not sure. I would be a nervous wreck.
Well, I think it's funny. I think that like that last set of eyes and ears, not only does it cover you, right, in the event that something goes wrong, but it also gives you that like very last chance to be the one that finds the thing before the guest does, right? Because anything that
Exactly.
your team can find, even if it's small, even if it's something that they find, but like they can't fix, like at least you can have a conversation with the guest. It's like, hey, we noticed that there was beach towels missing, or, whatever it is. I've got somebody on the way over. Like, y'all are welcome to go and check in, but like, just know that
Exactly.
is on its way. And I just think the way that I don't know. I mean, I guess I think about like in innately, I don't think guests are like trying to be completely unreasonable. Some people might say like you're crazy, you don't deal with guests every day. I get that. But I do think that like sometimes it's just like they've had a long car ride. They get there, they check in, and then it's like, and now this is wrong.
Yeah.
And I think it's like if they just feel like, how did you not know this? And I think so often people are like, well, we'll just like wait for the guest to tell us. And it's like, no, you can't do that. You
No.
tell the guest. It's like that guest is probably like, okay, cool. Like, no worries. Like, we'll wait 15 minutes while you bring the towels. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's all about how you communicate. And I think it goes to that idea of like the level of hospitality that you're delivering. Because it means
Most are pretty understanding. They're pretty understanding when something happens. Um, we've given a gift card to go grab some ice cream if the clean was just a little more than usual and it's taken us a little while longer.
yeah.
So you're not going to be able to get in right at 4. Go get some ice cream on us, and
Yep.
they're great. They're fine. But we do have those groups that they come in and they find one thing, so you're looking a little harder if you find
Yeah.
one thing and then they find something else, and it's just a chain reaction. So the goal is to have nothing for them to find.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I know we're sort of coming up on time and we could probably talk for hours on this, but I know it's a Friday and I'm sure you have plenty of things to do. So I'm going to ask a couple more very quick questions. But what do you think if you guys, so what do you think is something that you guys do that your guests don't ever maybe like comment on or like acknowledge, but if you didn't do that they would absolutely notice?
The amenity bags.
Oh, okay. Tell me more.
They are amenity bags. I feel like most of the time, people, they aren't anticipating having it. So we include some toilet paper, paper towels, just a starter bag of things. If by any chance we were missing that bag, we would get a ton of calls about it. But 9 times out of 10, people have already brought their stuff, so there might be one thing missing out of it. So I just feel like it's funny because if an inspector forgets it or the cleaner grabs it on the way out thinking that it's their cleaning bag or something,
Yeah.
you always get a call about it. But 9 times out of 10, they're not using the stuff anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, I love that. That's a great example. And I
Yeah.
also think it's like, it also sort of, again, I keep going back to that, like the idea of like the hospitality that you deliver, right? It's like, we're thinking about these things so you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I already brought all that stuff. Like, I don't need it. But like to your point, if they didn't have it and it wasn't there, I've stayed at places. And I didn't even, honestly, I didn't even know that there were places that didn't supply like just at least a starter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't know that was still a thing. I've stayed at a lot of vacation rentals in my, 17 years of being in this industry. And stayed at some earlier in the year. And I was like, there's nothing. There's no paper towels. There's no toilet paper. Like, what? We got to go to the store right now.
Yeah.
And I was just sort of blown away as a traveler. And some of the people that we were with were like, there's no shampoo and conditioner. And I'm like, okay, well, you should probably bring that. But like, also like, that there's nothing. So I know it, and I know very much that it varies market to market. Totally acknowledge that. But I was like, not even like a paper towel roll or a roll of toilet paper. I was sort of surprised.
I remember, 100 years ago, me and my family would always vacation in Sandbridge. The end of every season, we would do all our school shopping there. And I'm not sure which company we had used, but they didn't supply anything, not even televisions. They didn't have TVs, and we would bring our big old bulky TVs with us for like the kids' bedrooms and stuff. This was pre-smart TV, you got to think.
We're dating ourselves, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Dating ourselves. People are like, wait, what? There are things before smart TVs? I don't understand. Okay, that's amazing. So we're going to end on the lightning round. Lightning round is very straightforward. 4 questions, 2 options, and you tell me what you prefer. Oh, and I have one more question, but I'm going to ask that at the very, very end. I almost forgot. Okay, so lightning round. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
And do you have any dogs?
I do. I have one.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. He's a little pit Jack Russell mix, and he's like 100 years old, but you wouldn't know it. He's like a puppy.
Oh my God, so funny. Well, I have one, and as we were talking, the FedEx man came, and I saw him pull up out of the corner of my eye, and I was successful in muting myself, so you did not hear her lose her mind to greet him. So okay, fun. All right. Maybe a little. I might know the answer. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Okay. Sunrise or sunset?
Oh, that's tough. Sunrise.
Ooh, oh, you're an early riser. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Salty or sweet?
Sweet.
Okay. That seems to be the consensus. All right. I know what I'm
Yeah.
getting. I know what we're bringing for swag for everything. We're just bringing sweet treats for people. I don't. All right. So we're almost done. I'm going to ask you this one, and I'm excited about this because we just decided that we're going to put together a playlist from all of the responses. Theme song. If your job had a theme song, what would it be?
I'm gonna go with Crazy Train, Ozzy Osbourne.
Yes, I love that. And I'm sure many, many people that are listening to this could relate. I just relate to it in my own life. So I think it is definitely very fitting.
I hear it 50 times a day. My
right, because
2-year-old.
you were saying your little one.
Yeah, it's her favorite song. Yeah.
That's so good. Well, we're pretty much wrapped up. I got to ask you all of the things. I do want to give you a moment because you've been so great to answer all of my questions. Is there anything that you want people to know about your role, about the industry, about Breezeway, or anything like that? This is your time to just say anything that you didn't feel like we covered that maybe we should have.
I don't think so. Okay. I think you've covered it all.
I nailed it.
You nailed it.
I nailed it. I don't know if it was me or you, but this is super fun. Thank you, Lindsey. Thank you for
Thank you.
taking some time and like I said, sharing your experience with us here. It's been really fun.
Thank you.